Welcome to our second part of the discussion of the pre-scene for ACCA SBL June 2025 examination. So in our previous chapter, we had gone through the pre-scene from scratch, word by word. We had gone through the whole case and we had taken notes of the facts that had been given by the examiner, right? So I told you that we'll have a twofold process. The first stage is where we go through the case, we go through the pre-scene, we identify and extract the facts given by the examiner. The second stage is where we further evaluate the facts and identify those of significant difference, so those of significant importance. So in second stage, I would rather prefer doing a simple SWOT. So I can identify the company's internal strengths, what they are doing better than competitors, internal weaknesses, what the company is failing, what the company has to improve on, and external opportunities, the factors in the external environment which might provide a gain to the company, and threats, factors in the external environment that can harm the company. So this was what we had discussed in our previous session, where by going through the pre-scene, we had noted down these information. And I had also directly extracted certain pictorial data. So I had taken three such data. One is a picture, a snap of the market structure and competitors. I had also extracted directly the information on the organizational structure, the board structure, and finally the job roles of the directors in the organization. And there is one more pictorial data I have directly extracted from the pre-scene, which is on the manufacturing and sales process of the company. Right. So let me first take you through what we had discussed in our first session, which is this particular document. So this particular document is the same as the pre-scene, but here we in our own words had extracted the data that we identified as important. The reason for this is this does not include any other additional information, and since you had noted this data by yourself, going through this data will be able to provide you a picture of the overall organization, its industry, its environment. So I want you to be able to create a mind map based on this note which you yourself wrote down. So I'll start the session today by going through this particular document and then see whether are we able to create that picture of knowing the organization. Because your position in the exam will be of a senior personnel, strategic personnel. It can be an advisor, a director, a consultant, similar positions. So when you are given a task in the exam, in the final exam, the examiner will give you exhibits, the post scene. So let's say there are 5 tasks with 7 exhibits. So the task is to be done by referring to the related exhibit. So the exhibits will have the information that is needed for you to do the task. However, now you are a senior personnel. You can't just look at what is the cause of the problem and give the results. You can't just look at the cause of the problem and give them recommendations. Because why? As a senior person, you need to look at the overall picture. Sometimes there's a problem, there is a cause, you give a solution for the cause, but this solution can cause butterfly effects. This solution can cause repercussions in other aspects of the organization. Okay. For example, a problem is a decline in sales. You give a reasonable solution, but that is in violation with the company's values. That is in contradiction with the company's mission. That does not match the company's resources. No, this is impractical. Even if it's practical, this will cause harm. So as a strategic manager, you need to look at the overall picture. For that, you need to have a good grasp of the pre-scene. That's the reason why I would prefer you having your own note. rather than going through the pre-scene. Yes, the same information is in the pre-scene, but what happens here is the pre-scene is more comprehensive. You see there's a lot of paras, there's a lot of word counts here. Yes, you can highlight on the pre-scene. That also does the same thing. But once you create your own document, you have summarized the important information. And since you did this note by referring to the pre-scene, when you are going through this note, you will be able to recall what was that specific information given in the pre-scene. So this will help your learning process and your understanding of the pre-scene more efficient. So let's see, are we able to create a proper picture of the pre-scene information on the business environment of the company by going through the pre-scene. Once we do this, we'll go to our second stage of the analysis of the SBL pre-scene. So let's go through this. So I'll take this through one by one. So I hope you also follow me. Right, so I've given that the company is Dearn Shoes Ltd. So it's referred to as Dearn. So that's who we are. So our company is Dearn. What do? We are into manufacturing and selling shoes. So it's a manufacturing and trading company for shoes, and we have a history of over 100 years. And at present, we are the fourth largest shoe manufacturer and retailer in Lucland, which is the country. So country of Lucland is a pretty developed and a politically stable country. So this is the introduction for who we are. At the start, let's look at the industry information. So the industry is shoe manufacturing and retailing industry. Now this is for the industry. So this covers Dearn as well as other competitors in general. So in general, the shoe manufacturing and retailing industries customers are adults and children. So we provide adult shoes and children's shoes. How is it distributed? How is it sold? When it comes to shoe sales, manufacturers sell shoes through their own retail outlets or their online stores. When it comes to exporting to overseas customers, it's done through distributors in general, right? So when it comes to the industry, local sales is done through their own retail outlets, through online stores. When it comes to exporting, it's done through distributors. So online sales is only for local customers. The product that is sold, the shoe sold, when it comes to materials, predominantly, the materials used for shoes is leather. And later on, we also had alternative, cheaper, man-made materials. So at the start, leather was used for shoes, but now we have alternative materials. Why do we go for alternative materials? Because of its cheap cost. For example, we have synthetic leather, which includes a component of plastic. So with the example that's given, we can see that there is a trade-off. Going for leather and going for alternate materials. Alternate materials are cheap, that's a plus. The minus is the materials used might not be environmental friendly, such as if it includes plastic. Next is industry revenue. In the year 2024, the industry revenue is $3,750 million is the overall industry. And the industry growth, annual average growth since 2020 is 1.71% per year. And forecast for the next 5 years, we have forecasted an annual growth of 1.06%. So we can see the past 4 years, we had a 1.71% growth. Next 5 years, there is a growth. There is a positive growth, but the rate has slightly declined. Market in Lucland is dominated by 5 competitors, which basically owns 45% market share. The remaining 55% market share is held over by over 200 small organizations. Each of them have very small market shares. The top 5 dominating companies, obviously we are also one of them because we are the 4th largest shoe manufacturer. So the top 5 companies are Flamingo, Riggs, Parrish, Dearn, which is us, and Betterby. When it comes to shoe production in the industry, there are two generic methods. One is we use machines and engage in mass production. The second is handcrafted shoes. So obviously when it comes to handmade shoes, you can't produce in bulk quantities just like in machines. Shoe manufacturing process for both of these types includes 4 stages: cutting, materials, stitching, lasting, and finishing. Keep in mind, finishing also includes quality checks. Due to alternate materials with cheaper cost emerging the last 20 years, so that these alternate materials with cheaper cost was emerging since the last 20 years. So because of its benefits, many other countries also have expanded shoe production. Some Lucland shoe manufacturers have transferred their manufacturing to these countries. Some of them had transferred part of the manufacturing to these overseas countries to benefit from the cost advantages, while some manufacturers have transferred all of their manufacturing to these countries. So that's about outsourcing of shoe production. This is also for specifically for these alternate materials, not for leather. Next is handcrafted shoes. When it comes to handcrafted shoes, it uses leather material, right? So keep in mind, we had machine produced, mass production, and handcrafted. So handcrafted shoes uses leather material. It's so obviously since it uses leather material, the raw material is expensive, and since the quantity is less, so it takes the cost, the time and cost is also high. So because of the high cost, the price is also high, more expensive. We charge a high cost, a high price for the high quality and craftsmanship. So it's highly priced. So these are not outsourced to other countries. So handcrafting is not outsourced to other countries because other countries have a cost advantage due to machine manufacturing. So handcraft is done locally. Types of shoes. When it comes to the industry, the products are classified into 4 different categories. One is formal shoes, semi-formal, casual, and children. So formal shoes are handcrafted, and obviously since it's handcrafted, it's made of leather. For adults, we discuss adults and children's, right? So formal wear for adults, that main target. But if you look at semi-formal shoes, it's mass produced. In terms of materials, we use both leather and synthetic materials. Semi-formal is used for formal wear. Next is casual. When it comes to casual wear, it's for informal wear. Again, it's mass produced and we use synthetic material. So going for mass production is where we utilize machinery. So it's machine intensive. So we have a large benefit in economies of scale, a large cost benefit. Semi-formal, we mass produce. Casual, we mass produce. Even children's shoes are mass produced. But when it comes to casual shoes, we only use synthetic materials. When it comes to semi-formal and children, we use both leather and synthetic. So here we can clearly identify when it comes to formal wear, we go for handcrafted shoes. Okay. Since it's handcraft, we go for leather. The other 3 types of products are all mass produced. If you look at the market structure, guys, they have given us information on the 5 largest manufacturers, as well as for the remaining 55% market share. They have given us generic details of those smaller organizations. For discussion purpose, I have directly extracted what is given, directly extracted the table that is given in the pre-scene. So let's go through this. Let's start with who we are. We are Dearn. So when it comes to production, we produce all the 4 types of shoes, and our focus is to provide a good quality product for a medium price. Our focus of the product is our focus of our value proposition is providing good quality products for medium priced. Since we target all four types of shoes, we go for both handcraft and mass production. We learned earlier formal shoes are handcrafted. Okay, formal shoes are handcrafted. Since we are going for all the four different types of shoes, we are going for both handcraft and mass production as shoe production mechanisms. Our target market again is both adults and children, and out of the 45% market share owned by these five companies, we own 9.4% market share. So that's about Dearn. Except for Dearn, besides Dearn, we have four more major competitors, and they do not have a comprehensive product range like us. They have a specific product range. There are four types of shoes. They capture only a few. Let's start with Rigo, the market leader. So Rigo is providing casual shoes, not formal, not semi-formal, not children. It's only casual shoes. And they are going for mass production. So we discussed here. When it comes to casual shoes, it's about mass production. And their value proposition is good quality, high price. Good quality, high price. And their focus is only casual shoes. So they're going for a dedicated niche market. So target market is 18 to 30-year-olds people. So they're looking for teenage and young adults. And they have 11% market share. Right? So since we are offering all four types of goods, we are also offering good quality casual shoes. All four shoes, including casual shoes. So Rigo is providing casual shoes of good quality. We are also providing casual shoes of good quality. But our prices are slightly less. And Rigo is positioning themselves only for casual shoes. They are also our competitor. Even though the prices charged are different, the products are similar. Okay, and in terms of customer segments, there can be slight differences, but it's not too far away. Next is about Flamingo. So Flamingo is the organization that has the second highest market share. This is in the descending order. Again, they are going for both casual shoes and children's shoes. They are looking at two different products. Casual and children, not formal and semi-formal. Again, they produce through mass production. When it comes to value proposition, guys, we identified that they are going for low priced, low quality. They are focusing on consumers whose focus is on affordability. So they go for low price, low quality. But still, they have a 10.8% market share as at 2024. Now, Parrish is a bit different. Parrish is a brand, a competitor, which only is focusing on formal shoes. So we discussed formal shoes are handcrafted. And their proposition is going for good quality, high price. Rigo does the same for casual wear, but Parrish is focusing on formal wear. High quality, high price, and good quality. And the target is adults, obviously formal wear, and they also have 8.9% market share. And finally, we have Better Bee. Better Bee is focusing on semi-formal shoes and children's shoes. Their focus is on good quality and medium price. A very similar value proposition. Good quality and medium price. So just like Dearn. Okay. Just like us, where we also focused on medium price, good quality, Better Bee also has a very similar value proposition. Medium price, good quality. And they also capture two of the four shoe categories, semi-formal and children's shoes. The target is adults and children. Since we are going for semi-formal and children's shoes, going for mass production is the norm to save costs. And they have a 5% market share, which is just around half of what our current market share. But keep in mind, we have 9.4% market share, while having targeted all four different product types. Now this is the status. So we account for around 45%, 45.3% of the total market industry's revenue. If you look at the small organizations in general, they, different organizations have different focuses. In general, if you look at over 200 small organizations, throughout them they will have companies who are focusing on different shoe products. So some of them would be handcrafted, some of them would be of mass production, some of them might have a mixture of them. Target market is both adults and children, and we have various price points. Total, they will have around a 55% market share, exactly 54.7%. Now, the reason for this is to understand, number one, about the market share. Okay, so market share tells us or reflects the company's dominance in the country of Lucland. Okay, so if you look at Dearn, they had first mentioned that we are the fourth largest. Now, see at the start, they had mentioned us, we are the fourth largest shoe manufacturer and retailer in Lucland. And in terms of market share, as at the last year, 2024, we have the third largest market share. Now, see, in terms of largest, it can denote different things. So here they are specifically mentioned fourth largest shoe manufacturer and retailer. So it could be in terms of presence. Out of the whole country of Lucland, the largest can be in terms of presence. The most simplest method of measuring how the largest is revenue, but in terms of market share, we are ranked third. So there is an information ambiguity there in terms of what is the basis for ranking as the fourth largest. If it's revenue, we are the third. Is it some other basis? Is it in terms of distribution? Is it in terms of brand being top of mind in the consumer's mind? Or is it in terms of number of outlets? That is a question that has to be addressed possibly in the post. However, keep in mind we are in the top 5. That's a fact. Next is about our value proposition. So our current focus is high quality products, but we charge a medium price, and we focus on all 4 types of shoes. So different shoes will have different competitors. Right, now let's look at the industry's sales channels. When it comes to sales information, let's look at revenue at the start. As at 2024, out of the total industry's revenue, out of the total industry's sales, 85% comes from local sales. 85% comes from local sales. So obviously the remaining 15% should be coming from exports. This local sales of 85% includes direct selling from one outlet and own online store. So 25%. 25% comes from online stores and their own outlets. Of them, 60%. So 25% and then remaining 60%. So 25 plus 60 becomes 85. So the remaining 60% comes from indirect selling. So through retailers. Okay. So you can easily capture 85% of the company's revenue in general, industry's revenue comes from local sales, domestic sales. From that domestic sales of 85%, 25% comes from online sales. Out of the total 100% company's revenue, 25% comes from online sales, 60% comes from selling indirect through retailers. The remaining 15% is through exports. So here we can see the dominance of online here. They have good presence. When it comes to revenue from online sales as a proportion of total sales has been increasing over the last 10 years. We can see the online sales has been increasing over the last 10 years. We don't know the exact growth, but it has been increasing. At present, it's 25%, yes. Organizations selling online make these sales only within Lucland. Just like it was given earlier, when it comes to exports. When it comes to exports, it's through distributors. So online sales are basically for local sales. So that has been reiterated here. Organizations selling online, these online sales are only within Lucland. So online sales is for domestic sales. Keep in mind, exports are not done through online sales. If we're selling for foreign customers, we are going through distributors. Lucland shoes had excellent reputation since past. So the shoes in Lucland, the Lucland is the country. So the country was well known. It had a good reputation for shoes. Just like in reality, different products, different countries are known for different products. Certain countries are known for chocolate, certain countries for watches, certain countries for automobiles, certain countries for spices, certain countries for tea. Similarly, Lucknow is a country that has an excellent reputation for shoes. So this is relevant to all the businesses in Lucknow. It's known for quality of shoes. So this could be one driving factor that drives export sales. Recent years, handcrafted shoes. Okay, in the recent years, handcrafted shoes had increase in demand from markets with rising disposable income. So export sales, specifically to countries which are experiencing an increase in disposable income, okay, they are having a high demand for handcrafted shoes. Keep in mind, not for machine based shoes, not for machine intensive mass production shoes. So we can see when it comes to the export market, there is increase in demand for handcrafted shoes. Clear? And 15% revenue from exports via distributors, that was captured, right? 15% comes from exports, right? Now what are the challenges in the shoe industry in Lucland? So we have, one is, let's put it under important factors. Now one factor that is posing a big influence in the industry is the speed to market factor. What is speed to market? The speed on which new products are marketed. So this is very important for fashion and price conscious buyers. Okay, because the newer the fashion, and if we are able to put that into the market as soon as possible, such buyers will be interested because they'll be able to keep up with new fashion trends. The latest fashion is within their reach. Flamingo leads in this aspect. So let's have a quick look at Flamingo's value proposition. So Flamingo offers the products at a low price and low quality, and you can see these products are casual wear and children's wear. It's not formal, semi-formal, it's casual wear. There, that is a market that is looking at design and fashion. And interestingly, Flamingo is able to focus on ensuring that they are having a first mover advantage in bringing new designs to the market. And their focus is making it affordable, low price, low quality. That's why here in terms of challenges, we identify Flamingo leads in this aspect, and they're able to attract consumers who are focused on fashion as well as price conscious buyers, because Flamingo's prices are low priced. So this is one area where Flamingo has an advantage over other competitors. Next is a key driver of demand for shoes is household disposable income. As we saw earlier, when it comes to exports also, countries with rising household disposable income have their demand increased. So this is relevant to all shoes, no matter what type of shoes, it's in general. So rising household disposable income will also affect the consumer's decision on the quantity of shoes, the frequency of purchase, as well as the quality of shoes they are demanding. And the next point, there are signs that the Lucland economy is slowing down. This is about the overall economy, not the shoe industry, it's the economy as a whole. The country's economy, 5 years ago, the growth was a growth rate of 5.1%. 2 years ago, the growth rate was 1.6%. 1 year ago, the growth rate is 1.1%. And we expect in the next year, 2025, the growth rate will further reduce to 0.8%. So we can say the economy has been declining. The growth rate has been reducing over the last 5 years. Sales proportion of mid-priced shoes. So as we can see, the economy is declining. So shoes that are mid-priced, their demand has been reduced. So the sales of mid-priced shoes have been falling. What about sales of low-priced shoes? That has been increasing. People are now moving towards low-cost shoes. So this also reflects the impact of the macro environmental factor of economic growth. Economic growth has declined, so consumers' income is affected, and their purchase behavior is more price conscious. So low price shoes demand sales has been increasing, while mid price shoes sales has been declining. And unfortunately, we Dearn are mid priced. So we'll also be one of the companies who are or who will be influenced by this, unless we go for a solution. Forecast industry growth derives mainly from handcrafted shoes. The shoe industry's growth is mainly, now we discussed 4 types of shoes, right? Formal, informal, semi-formal, casual, and children. Now formal shoes, okay, formal shoes or handcrafted shoes are one of the main contributors for the industry growth, right? This is both within the local market, as well as through export sales. You can see the potential demand, the growth in demand for handcrafted shoes in the future. Some countries which had Lucland outsourced production has poor employment protection legislation. We discussed that, after the advent of alternate materials which are cheaper, there was a big trend, there was a big placement of different countries accepting production of shoes. So many sellers in Lucknow, many companies in Lucland had basically outsourced production of shoes to these countries. But now there is a problem. Some countries on which Lucland had outsourced production has shown poor employment protection legislation, possibly employee exploitation. Let's look at the points here. Manufacturing process of shoes has negative effect on environment, correct? Many customers, due to this, have been unwilling to purchase and move to shoes of sellers like Parrish, though they were priced high. This is something serious. Now, Parrish as a competitor we identified, they're only focusing on handcraft, not mass production. And their prices are also pretty high, good quality, high price formal shoes. They only do mass production, so they don't they only do handcraft, they don't mass produce through machine. So we see consumers focus here, guys. Many consumers, after understanding that factories have a negative effect on the environment, they are unwilling to buy shoes made from these factories. They would rather spend more and buy from shoe manufacturers like Parrish, who are more eco-friendly. So this also provides us, in the external environment, the consumers have a more focus on ethical conduct, which is on employment protection, as well as environmental protection. This can be an opportunity or a threat for us. Okay, if you are able to embrace, this is an opportunity. If we ignore, that's a possible threat. Such ethical manufacturers are flourishing both in Lucland and overseas. So this scenario is not only within our country, it's also in other countries. This has increased need for skilled workers in Lucland and attracted new entrants to industry as well. Shoe manufacturing has a big impact to environment. So manufacturing shoes has a big impact to environment in both the production stages and the disposal stage. So if you want to understand the significance, in 2024, out of the total global greenhouse gas emissions, 1.4% comes from shoe production. See how significant it is. And when it comes to shoe disposal, when we are disposing old shoes, most of them end up in landfill sites, and it's there for many years. And when it comes to shoes, most of their materials take many years to biodegrade. So this is the environmental impact caused when we are disposing old shoes, unused shoes. Large proportion of shoes bought online are returned. Next point, when it comes to online sales, large proportion of the goods sold are keeping on return. The reasons include sizes not fitting the shoe. The shoe is different from what is promoted on the website. The shoes are damaged. And some customers might order multiple sizes because they're not sure which size fits them. So they'll order multiple sizes. and they will only select the size that fits them, the rest will be returned. Now there are two more main reasons for this situation to happen. Number one, customers are not sure of their shoe size because there is no universal shoe size standards. Okay, there is no universal shoe size standards because typically from brand to brand, from country to country, there are different foot sizes. So specifically from brand to brand, if the foot sizes are not the same, customers will not be sure which size fits them. This is one area that needs to be addressed if we are looking into this. Second is, when the customer returns the goods back, retailers do not have any charges to the customers. For postage, we don't charge. For shipping, we don't charge. This is another reason why customers are encouraged to trial purchase and return sometimes. Innovations and developments. If you look at the industry, what are the innovations and developments we had encountered? First one is growing environmental awareness and interest in ethical and sustainable sourcing. We saw earlier. Many consumers had been reluctant to purchase from companies and would rather spend more money and go for a high price product which is more ethical. So you can see growing environmental awareness and also interest in ethical and sustainable sourcing. This has led to development of ethical shoes by a small Lucland manufacturer called Kind Shoes. We don't know whether Kind Shoe is a old company or else a new company. We saw that there was an emerging threat of new entrants. However, this Kind Shoes Limited was able to understand this market opportunity and they successfully positioned themselves as an ethical and sustainable in ethics and sustainable ethos, right? So use more expensive eco-friendly sustainable resources which have been ethically sound. So we would rather, companies also would rather use expensive eco-friendly resources when they are sourcing it, and this sourcing also should be done ethically. So these are all innovations and developments in this industry. Next is about recycling. We identified that disposing old shoes also poses a big threat to environmental impact, environmental damage. So many initiatives have been taken in many other countries, but there is no significant developments in Lucland. And keep in mind, these initiatives are on a trial, are being on trial. So they have not given information whether was there any successful, proper, practical mechanism that can be implemented yet. So we can see in other countries, at least they are trialing on a solution. In Lucland, there is no significant development on recycling. But if this is so, that's also a plus point. Technological influence. Next, when it comes to the product, we can use technology as well. Number one, for example, we can use 3D printing to create prototypes. We can use 3D printing for custom-made shoes or even for limited editions. We can use technology and create technology-enabled intelligent shoes. So these are shoes where the technology has been embedded, which allows us to find us various data, including measuring performance, measuring fitness, health metrics, as well as providing feedback and transmit data to phone using Bluetooth. So this is how technology has been used so far in this shoe industry. Next thing is customizable shoes where customers can design and personalize. That's also nice technological influence. Some online sites in Lucland websites uses virtual reality and augmented reality. The purpose is through these online sites, customers can try on different shoe designs on their foot. It's just like you turn on the camera. So this enables customers to try on shoes virtually. Next is about the industry body, the industry standard and even legislation. So when it comes to regulatory bodies, we have the Lucland Shoe Association, we call it LSA. What do? They promote the shoe industry even domestically and as well as globally. So they provide members with expertise, support, advice and guidance through many methods. One is through staff publications, next one is through network of members and links to Lucland government. The Lucland Shoe Association set up Made in Lucland accreditation. This is pretty important. The Lucland Shoe Association set up this accreditation called MIL, Made in Lucland. So having this accreditation tells stakeholders that this company has ensured compliance with standards on quality, compliance and standards on safety, labor standards, and sustainability guidelines. So having a mill accreditation will tell us our company is following the law, following the regulations. Shoe manufacturers, like other businesses in Lucland, must comply with employment, health and safety, consumer protection, competition and data protection. There is strong corporate protection of Lucland. Manufacturer must carry out health and safety tests on all the shoes to ensure materials used are non-hazardous. So manufacturer must carry out health and safety tests in all the shoes. Most staff in industry are members in National Shoe Union, mainly looks after interest of its members at work. Okay. So many of the staff members in the industry are also members in the NSU, National Shoe Union, because through this, their rights can also be secured. So that's all about the industry, guys. Okay. So we looked at the industry, what's going on with the industry. Through the industry analysis, we also understood what is going on with this shoe manufacturing and retailing sector. We discussed we discussed different competitors, types of shoes, their manufacturing mechanisms, the challenges, role of technology. We looked at many of these factors. Right? Next, we'll be looking at the company. Okay. Since we now looked at the industry, now we should be able to have a picture of what's going on in the shoe industry when it comes to shoe businesses, in terms of their local conditions, in terms of export conditions, in terms of the demand, in terms of the factors that influences their future revenue, including the economic condition, including the impact of disposable income, including the impact of consumer concern for being environmental friendly. Now let's look at our company's situation. It's about Dearn company, Dearn Shoes Ltd. So when it comes to Dearn Shoes, we discussed that Dearn has a history of over 100 years. The founder name was Dermot Dearn, and the company Dearn was known for its reasonably priced, well-made shoes for adults and children. So this company, which has a century of history, is well known amongst consumers for its good quality and reasonably priced, medium priced shoes. So that is correctly in line with the value proposition given in the previous chart, where we and the competitors were evaluated. We were one of the first few organizations to be awarded the mill accreditation for their formal shoe. This is something important. We have got the accreditation. The manufacture was in a town called Lane in the southwest of Lucland until 15 years ago. Because at that time, most of the manufacturing was transferred to the country of Scotland to save costs. We discussed, right? 20 years ago, once alternate materials came into place, including synthetic materials, many other countries started producing shoes. So countries, so shoe producing companies, especially most in Lucland, started outsourcing its production to those other countries, so including us. So before outsourcing, most of the production was done in this Lucland in a town called Lane. But 15 years ago, we started outsourcing most of the manufacturing to the country of Scotland. Reason is to save costs. And at present, we have retained only one small factory in Lane. So except for one factory in the country of Lucland, the rest of the production are all outsourced to the country of Scotland. X company, a large shoe manufacturer in Scotland, produces for Dearn in that country. So we have one factory in the country of Lucland, the rest are all outsourced to a company called X company in the country of Scotland. So here there's a small risk, that is, we are outsourcing, our production is highly reliant on only X company. Dearn's head office, the small factory, as well as the warehouse are still in Lane. So that is it. Shipping from Scotland to Dearn and is done by DT Global Transport. So most of our manufacturing is outsourced to ex-company in Totland. So from Totland to Dearn, shipping as warehouse is all managed by DT Global Transport. When it comes to Dearn's shoes, our shoes, most shoes are mass produced by ex-company, we discussed earlier. Formal shoes, except for formal shoes, the rest are all mass produced. Semi-formal, casual, children, all of them are mass produced, and all of these are done by ex-company. Only its formal shoes are handcrafted in the Lucland factory. When it comes to handcrafted, it's done locally. So here, Dearn manufactures its handcrafted formal shoes locally by themselves. It's not given to someone else locally. Its shoes are sold throughout Lucland direct to consumers via its 75 branded outlets and websites. No exports. So Dearn has 75 branded outlets. So they use them to sell their products, and they also sell through online sales websites. We don't export. Okay. Ownership of Dearn, 70% of shares are held by the founder's family. They don't get involved in management. 15% by directors, 10% by the employees, and 5% others. Dearn is not listed in the stock exchange, Lucland Stock Exchange, but follows good corporate governance. No, we are not a listed company. On top of that, we also don't have audit committees, nomination committees, and remuneration committees. Internal audit team is there, that's a good thing, but they report to the chief finance officer. Chief finance officer is an executive director. So internal auditors report to an executive director, causes the independence of internal auditors to be restricted. When it comes to stakeholders, we have a lot of stakeholders, including shareholders, staff, customers, third-party manufacturers like X company, distribution partners like DT, suppliers, bank, trade unions like NSU, as well as Lucland Shoe Association. These are all some of the key stakeholders. Let's look at some of their important features. When it comes to the staff, the current staff of Lucland, in general, they have high levels of loyalty, which is a very good thing, high levels of commitment and satisfaction as well. We have low staff turnover than the industry, which is very nice. And there is also an observation here. Multiple generations of the same family have worked in Dearn. So sometimes, for certain families, generationally, they have been working for us, which also might indicate the trust of those families on Dearn, as well as the Dearn's contribution to those community. X company, it was very positive. X company is the company that Dearn has outsourced shoe production. It's in Totland. It was very positive, but in the last 2 years, there were concerns on quality of the products. So X company was pretty good, but last 2 years, the product quality was a major concern. And when we did the quality check, we identified poor production quality. Now, this is a guaranteed fact, because they also have checked the quality. Number of returns from customers have been increasing as a result, as well as there are also delays in dispatching orders from X company. Now, these are serious issues, weaknesses we found in the outsource process. When it comes to DT is providing excellent service levels for shipping from Totland to Lane. Lane is the town where Dearn's warehouse is and Dearn's production factory is. Next, let's look at the board and organizational structure, guys. We can see that when it comes to non-executive directors, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Normally, chair is also non-executive, but they have mentioned that the chair is an executive director. When it comes to executive directors, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Chair is problematic. With chair, it becomes 8. So here we identify the number of executive directors are more than non-executive directors, which is a concern. So you have many concerns. One is chair is playing an executive role. Normally, chair is a non-executive director, because CEO generally will lead the executive directors. Chair will lead the board of directors, the board, and chair is normally a non-executive director. We don't want both this chair and the CEO playing similar roles. Second concern, executive directors are majority than non-needies, and CEO reports to chair. So here we can identify the tasks done by each of those major executive directors. Executive chair, that's a major problem. Leadership of the board, that's good. Good governance, good. Specific strategic initiatives. Now, here's an executive role. We don't know what exactly are the strategic initiative, but this shows that the chair is playing an executive role, which is an area that you can question. Chief Executive Officer, they lead the executive team, implement the decisions of the board, implementing effective implementation of strategy. Chief Finance Officer, developing financial strategy, internal and external financial reporting, risk management. Risk management is also done by Finance Officer. Concern. Chief Operating Officer, factory and warehouse in Lucland is managed by him. Relationship with outsourced partners, good. Chief Commercial Officer, managing retail outlets, e-commerce sales, business development. Chief Product Officer, research and developing products, product design and development, marketing. Again, marketing, should it come under Chief Product Officer? That's a major area that you have to question. But because we don't see a Chief Marketing Officer here. Chief Information Officer, head office systems, website and e-commerce platform and processes, communication links with outside partners. And Chief HR Officer looks at HR function, including covering head office, factory, warehouse and retail outlet staff, where all of our employees are there. Recruiting staff, retention, training, development. So all of these are the roles of Chief HR Officer. So I have certain concerns here. One is the chair is playing an executive role. Chief Finance Officer is managing risks, and Chief Product Officer is also good doing marketing on top of researching new products. So those are some conflicting roles there. Most directors, we looked at these directors. Most of these directors have worked for Dearn for over 20 years, and the board of directors' risk attitude is risk averse. They don't want to take risks. So structure is a functional structure. If you look at the products, sold by Dearn sells all 4 types of products. 4 types of shoes sold, 20 styles of each shoe. So each shoe has 20 styles. It's reviewed annually and updated for fashion changes. Designs with poor performance are no longer manufactured. Poor performing designs are no longer manufactured. Stop them. Design gets replaced. So if you look at the 4 types of shoes, it's formal, semi-formal, casual, and children. Let's have a quick look at this. In formal shoes, the mill accreditation mark is present, and obviously formal shoes are handcrafted. Most expensive shoes sold by Dearn. Target market is 30 to 50 years. Parish is the market leader for this shoe, and price of Parish is higher than Dearn. Okay, for this shoe segment, customer segment, Parish is the market leader, and their prices are also pretty high. We discussed. We are going for medium price. They are going for high price. Semi-formal, price cheaper than formal shoes. Soles are made of rubber than leather. Target market is above 55 years old. Dearn is the market leader for this type. Casual shoes, sole made of rubber and man-made materials, so cheap price than semi-formal shoes. Target market 18 to 30 years. Rigo is the market leader and commands strong brand loyalty. Children's shoes, mass-produced leather shoes. Dearn is the market leader. Excellent reputation of fitting size. Closest competitor is a small business called Tiptoe. Manufacturing and sales process, guys. If you look at the manufacturing and sales process, 15 years ago, Dearn closed all factories except for one in Lane, and they have outsourced to X company. The Lane factory manufactures formal shoes and carries out research and development. Outsourced manufacturing since 15 years ago. Most local sales done through its own 75 retail outlets in Lucland. Well known for high levels of customer service, one main reason for success. No retail outlet outside Lucland and does not export. We don't export. Obviously, when it comes to other companies, also those who export, they sell through distributor. They don't have on their own retail outlets. Dearn's products are also available online. Online is only for local customers, Lucland customers. Online sales, customers must collect products ordered from a local retail outlets. When it comes to online sales, we sell online, but we don't provide delivery services. Customers have to go to our closest the closest outlet and then collect the goods. So that's a bit problematic because not providing home delivery is unusual in Lucland as well, and this has restricted sales volume online. Our online sales currently is only 12% of total sales of Dearn. We discussed in the industry data, 25% of sales comes from online, but here only 12% of our sales comes from online. One of the main possible situations that is given is the fact that customers must collect products rather than being delivered to. So let's look at this process with a graph. So here there are three types of products. One is all shoe types in yellow, dark gray formal shoes in Lucland, and light gray all types except formal. Okay, except for formal, we have semi-formal, we have casual, we have children as well. So all types except formal in X company's factory in total. So if you look at all shoes, guys, they will basically undergo these stages: research and design. We have to develop new designs, create lasts, and produce prototypes. And once it is produced, we do testing. After the testing, it depends on what type of product it is. If it's a formal shoe, some stages are carried out by skilled labor, but just through handicraft. Formal shoes are made through handcraft. So we start producing through handcraft, we check the quality and then transfer to Lucland's warehouse. If it is other types of goods, it's all manufactured using machines. Machines used all stages. Shipped to Lucland warehouse by DT, and after it's shipped, we check the quality. So whether it's, no matter what type of shoe product it is, at the end of the day, it's all sent to the Lucland's warehouse. We pick items for retail outlets order. So once it's reached to the warehouse and then to retail outlets, those who purchased online, they'll go to the nearest outlet and collect. So we pick items for retail outlets orders and customers online orders and pack them for dispatch to retail outlets. From warehouse, they dispatch it to each retail outlet. It's distributed to retail outlets. In the retail outlets, most of the stocks are sold for retail customers. Some of the stocks are there, which is where we allow the e-commerce buyer to come collect the goods ordered online. This is a very simple process on how manufacturing and sales are done. Information systems and use of technology. This is pretty important. When it comes to use of IT, head office has off-the-shelf finance systems and HR systems that have been used for many years. HR system is okay, it fits for the current purpose, but the finance system, the management itself has decided we have to soon change the finance system. We have to invest. They have decided because of its issues. New inventory system is recently introduced, but it does not provide the transparency needed over supply chain. Okay, a new inventory system was introduced, but it does not provide the transparency needed over supply chain. Supply chain department who will want to know information about the inventory system, they are unable to get the relevant exact information they want, because why? The inventory system is off the shelf, it's not customized. Inventory in relation to outlets updated daily. When it comes to inventory and outlets, it's updated daily, but for the rest of the information, it's updated weekly. Dearn has invested significantly in advanced manufacturing technology in Lucland factory. Now, along with that, inventory system is problematic as well. Also invested on an automated picking process in warehouse. So Dearn has also invested money on IT for an automated picking process in the warehouse that selects goods for retail outlets. For online orders, picking process is manual. Okay. E-commerce platform has limited functionality impacting Dearn's ability to engage in digital media marketing effectively. And the intranet, the local internet, is where information and resources for staff and an area for staff comments has been provided. Finally, we'll be looking at the risks, guys. So risks, the company is maintaining a risk register, which is very good. What is a risk register? It's a document which records all the risks the company has faced, identified, assessed, as well as what action plans they have taken. So maintaining risk register is good. What are the risks that have been identified? One is supply chain disruption. We've identified, right? X companies sometimes delays sending the goods. Their quality is problematic. Returns, so supply chain is now not smooth. Potential economic downturn in Lucland. We discussed the economic growth of Lucland has been declining over the past few years. This has also affected the disposable income of consumers and thereby demand for sales, demand for shoes. Limited online offering. Okay. Dearn has very limited online presence and offering. Product recalls are high. As we discussed, many of the products that were sold online are recalled. Product quality issues. We discussed X company for the last 2 years had issues with the product quality. And environmental impact of shoe industry and customers' reaction. As we discussed, there was an incident where a company whose a company that had outsourced its shoe production to some other country had problems with employee protection. This caused its consumers to ignore the company's products, and they would rather go for a different company, pay a premium and get their products. So environmental impact of shoe industry is pretty high because consumers focus, their mindset has changed. Next, we'll look at the extracts of the website. So Dearn website extracts. I have just noted down the same here when it comes to the vision to become the first choice for shoes for the whole family. That's why they are looking into multiple segments. Mission is to provide our customers with well-made, reasonably priced shoes and enjoyable customer experience. So they want to provide good quality but medium priced. It's in line. Values of Dearn includes respect for our history, a focus on quality of product and services, as well as long-term commitment to our staff. These are the values. Finally, financial and non-financial summary. So I've basically extracted this over 2 time horizons. One is over the last 5 years and over the last 2 years. Why 2 years? Because only since the last 2 years we had a serious drop in our performances. So market share percentage declined over the 5 years. So the last 4 years, the decline. Over the last 4 years, the market share declined by 1.29% on average. But over the last 2 years, the market share declined by 4% on average. Okay. From 10.2% to 9.4% annually, there was a 4% relative decline. The revenue has also declined. The last 4 years, the annual growth rate is only 0.36%, but for the last 2 years, the growth rate is a minus. There's a degrowth of 1.44%. Gross profit percentage declined from the last 2 years. It declined from 27% to 26.2%. Customer satisfaction lower than the industry average. Now this is very significant. Our customers are not happy with us. If we take the industry average, it was 7.5, but customer satisfaction with us is 7. It could be due to many reasons. One is high expectation but less value in reality will also lead to customer dissatisfaction. So we need to understand what exactly happened for customer satisfaction to be affected. This is a seriously significant issue. But staff satisfaction is very good. Industry average is 7.2, but our staff satisfaction is 8.2. So they are pretty happy with us. And for the last 4 years, there have been a slight growth in the staff satisfaction. Staff satisfaction is good. Customer satisfaction is highly problematic. So with this is where we ended the pre-mock discussion, because as at now here we had captured out all the information given in the pre-scene, and now we had gone through the important factors next to each other, and this will be your exercise where you read this once, twice, couple times, understanding the company's business environment, including external and internal. Now comes stage number 2. Based on these business environmental insights, I will be classifying them into internal strengths and weaknesses and external opportunities and threats. That's given here. So in a while, we'll be looking at this table, which is the focus of today's session. All right, now let's start with the second stage of our analysis, where we do a SWOT. A SWOT is a very comprehensive analysis where we analyze the internal business environment's strengths, what the company does better than its competitors, internal environment's weaknesses, what areas the company is not doing well, or it can also be defined as what areas where competitors are doing better than us, and external environment's opportunities, factors in the outside environment that can provide a gain to the organization. And threats, factors in external environment can cause harm to the organization. So of what we did so far, from our notes that is extracted from the pre-scene, I want you to go through the notes again one by one and filter out the insights as a strength, a weakness, an opportunity, or a threat. Once you do this exercise, now you have a compiled set of strengths, what the company is doing good, doing well. Compiled set of weaknesses, which could be areas you need to address in the final exams. Compile set of opportunities which could be elaborated by the examiner, where you can provide recommendations on how to exploit and use these opportunities. And a compile set of threats, again, which you have to make sure you address in case they have a task. So you might get tasks that are related to this, you might not get tasks, but it's good to be ready, because in case you are given a related question, you can easily identify the pros and cons, the good and the bad through the SWOT. So let's go through this SWOT one by one. Let's look at strengths first. Right. So we have nearly 100 years of brand heritage and reputations. We have 100-year history. And next, Dearn was one of the first to earn the MIL accreditation mark, made in Lucland mark, which can be used by MIL to display its regulatory compliance. Next, the market lead. Dearn is the market leader when it comes to semi-formal and children's shoes. And we have excellent customer service. We are well known for our customer service and a strong retail outlet presence, 75 outlets. We do not have competitors' data when it comes to number of outlets, but this is pretty significant, because with 75 outlets, which is predominantly giving us our direct sales, we were able to have the third largest market share. Remember, our online presence is weak, so most of them comes from these outlets. So this should be pretty significant. The next strength is high staff satisfaction and low labor turnover. Low staff turnover, high staff satisfaction and low staff turnover, which is very good. Functional governance with strong internal audit. And we have a comprehensive product range. We have all the 4 different types of products, both handcrafted and machine-based mass-produced shoes. So we have a very comprehensive shoe product portfolio. And we have also invested in advanced manufacturing and automated warehouse picking systems, which will help us increase the warehouse efficiency high. So those are the major strengths of Dearn. When it comes to weaknesses, guys, first weakness is our declining market share. Market share is based on revenue. So declining market share from 10.2% to 9.4% is a major issue. And our online presence is very limited. In comparison to industry's online presence, online sales of 25%. Okay, from in the industry, out of the total sales, 25% sales comes from online sales, but ours just 12%. And one of the reasons could be, obviously, one of the reasons is because of this another weakness. Because when it comes to online sales, Dearn does not provide home delivery. So if the customer purchases online from Dearn, they will have to themselves visit the nearest outlet and collect the goods. So we have a click and collect model. So Dearn has a click and collect model, but they don't provide home deliveries, which is another factor that could limit online growth, because because the reason for going for online purchase is for convenience. And when it comes to delivery, if we do not deliver goods to consumers, that's a reasonable factor why Dearn's online sales might not be as popular as other companies. Weak brand engagement among 18 to 30 age group, which is the casual shoe segment. Outdated finance system. The company themselves have realized this, and they had planned to invest on this. On the other hand, there is also weak supply chain visibility. We do not get the information that we really want directly. This is a major problem. We also have to ensure that this is addressed. And the board is risk averse. Now we do not know what. No, risk averse doesn't always mean it's bad. Risk seeking, risk averse, risk neutral. These are the typical risk attitudes of boards. But being risk averse, company will also be reluctant on taking the initiative to innovate. So we can have a slowness when it comes to adopting innovation in shoes. That is a possible weakness, because we discussed there is a segment for in casual wear where consumers, on top of being price conscious, many of them are fashion seeking. So if you are risk averse, to what extent can we are we willing to adopt new trendy fashions, new novelties? That's a challenge. And Dearn has over reliance on outsourced manufacturing at X company, except for one factory in Lane in Lucland. Except for one factory in Lucland, the rest of them are outsourced to one company, X company, and there's high over reliance. And unfortunately, in the last 2 years, we also identified X company had problems with the product quality and delivery times. Next weakness, limited functionality in e-commerce platform and digital marketing. So this is an area that has to be considered, looked into. And when it comes to the board structure, the chair is an executive, which hinders independence of the chair's role. And we have to also consider CEO reporting to chair. So we'll also have to consider if both of them are executives, are there role duplications, and will there be conflicts. And when it comes to the board, we do not have audit committees, nomination committees, remuneration committees. Since we are not listed in the stock exchange, this might not be a problem, but this is also weakness, because if there are no committees, to what extent is related areas properly done is a question, is a risk. Next, internal auditors report to chief finance officer, who is an executive director. Now this process will limit the internal auditors independence, because why? Internal auditors who are managing internal controls, if they report to chief finance officer, who is an executive director, there will be certain issues with in terms of independence. So these are the internal environmental situations of Dearn. We identified various strengths of Dearn, what Dearn was doing well at. We also identified various weaknesses of Dearn, areas that Dearn has to improve on. Now let's look at the opportunities and threats. Now let's start with opportunities. Factors in the external environment which can benefit Dearn. Number one, there is a rising demand for ethical, sustainable handcrafted products. So Dearn can consider this as one of the focus points in the future, so that they can gather these customers' attention. Potential to expand in international markets, especially through handcrafted shoes. There's a high demand for handcrafted shoes in international markets, especially those countries which have a rising disposable income. There is a big opportunity in digital marketing. For example, in augmented reality, we can have virtual reality, augmented reality, try-on tools, and customization, which can attract younger buyers. One is we can use augmented reality for customers to check their shoe size as well as the fit on. Number one. Second is, if you allow customization, that itself will appeal to the customers. We can adapt 3D printing, intelligent shoes, as well as newer technologies to drive innovation in our product supply. We can enhance digital operations. So there's a big opportunity on the e-commerce online sales platforms. We can enhance digital operations, e-commerce, and delivery capabilities. If possible, facilitate home delivery rather than having the consumer to come and collect. Leverage the mill mark. So we have the mill accreditation. We must make use of this mill. Let the consumers be aware. Gain the consumers' trust. So we can leverage mill mark and have a 100-year heritage to reposition as an ethical brand. Mill itself tells us we have regulatory compliance. So that can be used as a starting point as well as the heritage to position ourselves as an ethical brand. And there is an opportunity. When it comes to premiumness, that is not a must. No, this is just a personal suggestion based on the limited data. Why? We have two reasons here. We identified that consumers are willing to pay more for an ethical product. Number two, we also discussed that due to the economic situation, the demand for mid-priced shoes are declining, low price is increasing. But if we are able to position ourselves and display the value of ourselves, sometimes placing our price as a premium product might also work. So this is just a recommendation in terms of premiumness, but the opportunity being positioned as an ethical brand is there. Growing export demand for Lucland. Okay, so these are also an opportunity. Export demand for Lucland, especially for handheld shoes. So we can make premium shoes in high income international markets. So handcrafted shoes obviously expensive. So along with that, since the demand for handcrafted shoes are growing, we can re-establish ourselves as a premium shoe to gain further in this market. Collaborations, we can also to identify and benefit from R&D, technical technology as well as innovations. There is opportunity for collaborate or even acquire tech firms. So that can help us accelerate innovation and sustainability practices. Finally, when it comes to threats, guys, what are threats? Factors in the external environment that has a possibility to harm the organization. One threat is the economy of Lucland has been the economic growth the rate has been reducing in the recent years. Economic downturn in Lucland. This also has impacted the demand for shoes. And they have also given consumers demand for mid-price shoes has declined, and they have shifted to demanding low-price shoes. Now our current value proposition is good quality products at mid-price, so we are also affected here. Quality concerns and shipping delays from overseas supply ex-company. We earlier addressed a weakness, our over-reliance on ex-company, as we have outsourced our production to them, but now there's a threat which is there now and which will continue in the future. That is quality concerns and shipping delays. There's another threat that we have additional rising competition from ethical shoe brands like Kind Shoes. So Kind Shoes is not one of the top 5 players, but they also pose a threat. Environmental and social scrutiny of offshore mass production. Environmental impact, social impact, earlier discussed. If they are not treating the employees properly on employment protection, that's also social scrutiny. Now, since you're outsourced, offshore our production to overseas companies, their conduct will also pose a threat to our organization. High product return rates is a threat. We discussed the reasons for this. This includes poor online fit experience, lack of universal sourcing. And this if the returns have increased, that is also an unnecessary loss for the organization. Industry's environmental impact, for example emissions, landfill waste, attracts regulatory pressure. Yes, so as one of the largest shoe companies in Lucland, and we also discussed that the waste environmental impact occurs in 2 stages. One is to production, one is on disposal. So when it comes to disposal, especially if it's not properly disposed, at some point of time government might start pressurizing. So regulatory pressure is a threat, and we have to make sure that we do not reach this point. Shifting consumer expectations for convenience, speed to market, and digital engagement. Earlier we identified that when it comes to changes in the market, certain competitors have dominated this opportunity for speed to market by bringing up fashionable shoes at their earliest. Some had good digital engagement, and others provide convenience, including providing home delivery for online purchases. So consumers are shifting their needs towards these alternatives, and at present when it comes to convenience, we do not provide home delivery. Speed to market, we don't have an added advantage on this area. Digital engagement of us is also low. So these are threats that has to be addressed. And finally, risk of brand erosion if customers switch to more transparent competitors like Parish or Kind. So when customers get appealed by these brands who have positioned themselves as ethical and eco-friendly, now once customers are attracted towards them as they are positioned towards being ethical and eco-friendly, that can in turn cause harm to other competitors who are not well known for being ethical and eco-friendly. That can erode the brand reputation. That's a serious issue. So these are the SWOT factors that we have noted down, and all of these factors are factors that we had read in the pre-scene, noted in our first document. And from there, we have now captured this as strength, weakness, opportunity, and threats. So this is what's really important, guys. Now, once you have this document, we have then the insights we obtained have been categorized to these four parts. So when you in the exam identify tasks that needs to be responded, see, do we have any strengths that can be utilized in creating the answer? We are going to analyze the situation, see are any of these weaknesses related to this situation. Opportunities and threats are on the external environment. So also see if any of this opportunity and threat has been omitted in those particular exhibit, you can consider taking it because it's part of the pre-scene. Right? The examiner specifically stated, do not target specific tasks by yourself, because the exhibit in the exam might be related to the pre-scene. Sometimes there will be exhibits which has no relationship in the pre-scene, meaning there can be new information. In the final exam, the tasks are all linked to the exhibit. Some of the exhibits can be related to old information in the pre-scene. It's fine. But some exhibits can be completely new information which is not revealed in the pre-scene. When you encounter such exhibits, the tasks are completely reliant on the exhibit, where pre-scene is not that much of help on those specific tasks. So if you specifically target these areas and you get something completely new, we don't want you to lose trust, lose hope there. And it's always good to have an open mind. So if you have specific targeted questions, your thinking is always biased towards this. So rather than that, just like we did a SWOT here, we have identified the facts, and now in an open mind you put those into four categories. So in the final exam, when you encounter the task, read the exhibit and see whether does this insights in the SWOT be of help to your task. Okay. And just for understanding how SWOT can be more used by yourself, we can use internal strength and weaknesses against the external opportunities and threats. So I have basically drafted a simple TOES matrix for you to understand how strengths can be used, to exploit opportunities, how strengths can be used to manage, mitigate threats, and how opportunities can be exploited to manage, reduce weaknesses. When it comes to weakness and threats, that's very serious. So we have to see how can we identify these points where we have both external threats and internal weaknesses. So we have to take steps to minimize weakness while addressing the external threat. I have taken some points here for us to understand how these identified factors in SWOT can be interconnected for us to make decisions. So let's consider some of these points. Now at the start, let's look at how internal strengths can be used to exploit external opportunities. We discussed one of the strengths we had is having the mill accreditation, and an opportunity in the market is consumers' growing concern for ethical companies. So we can promote the mill accreditation. Mill accreditation shows us that we are complying with regulations. So you can promote mill accreditation, mill accredited handcraft shoes in this ethical segment. So by using our strength, we are trying to capture this opportunity better. Use strong retail service. We have 75 retail outlets, and you can use that strength to capture the opportunity of augmented reality, 3D technology. So in these 75 outlets, we can install augmented reality and give consumers a better shopping experience. So for this shopping experience, some of them would love revisiting the outlet. Launch customizable formal shoes by leveraging skilled local labor. This is how we can use strengths to exploit opportunities. Let's look at our next part, using strengths to mitigate threats. Now, one threat is economic slowdown. One strength is our company is well known for customer service. We have the accreditation and it's known for its good quality. So if we are able to brand ourselves as a premium product, we can reinforce this premium branding to retain customers. When customers are having issues with their disposable income and they are looking at affordability, we can use our strengths on quality to tell them our good is worth it. So part of the customers might still want to purchase from us, might want to retain from us for the sake of quality. Highlight Lucland made shoes to differentiate from environmentally harmful imports. So far we discussed consumers don't have a good impression of those outside countries which produces goods for the company. Okay, so for those offshore production factories, consumers do not have a good impression. And even in our company, except for one factory in Lucland, the rest of them are all outsourced offshore to ex-company in Totland. So we can specifically highlight what is done internally. So we have one factory in Lucland where we produce handcrafted goods. So we can specifically highlight that strength, the locally made handcrafted goods, and differentiate them from those outsourced shoes. At least we will be able to gather consumers to come purchase our locally made handcrafted shoes. Use in-house technology to reduce reliance on ex-company. Now we are relying on ex-company very high because that's the only company that we are outsourcing our production to. And since the last 2 years we had problems in quality and delays in shipping. So one thing is we can go for alternative suppliers, multiple suppliers. The other thing is use in-house technology, at least to reduce reliance on ex-company supply to a certain extent. Weakness and opportunities. How to use opportunities to address weaknesses. One thing is there's an opportunity on e-commerce, so we can invest in upgrading e-commerce websites, invest in increasing our digital marketing initiatives, and target young customers. Because as at now, our target of young customer is not intensive. One of the weakness we have is not providing home delivery. Understanding the opportunity in the online platform, we can expand online product customization and also offer home delivery by and then once you offer home delivery, that particular weakness is also addressed. Weakness and threat strategies. So this is, for example, let me have 3 points for us to discuss: how to minimize weakness and as well as mitigate threats. One major weakness we have is we are over relying on only one producer, X company. So we rather diversify suppliers, minimize our weakness, or bring more production in-house. That's a threat. Threat is where consumers might not prefer offshore production. So we can go for multiple suppliers. We can start relying more on in-house production and reduce dependence on X company. Address online fit issues using augmented reality technology to reduce return rates. So here there are 2 points. One is we can standardize shoe sizes, but it's very difficult because if you are going to standardize throughout the industry, we have to get the consent and also willingness of other shoe suppliers. So one of the more practical and immediately implementable option is we have 75 stores, and if you're able to have the augmented reality in these stores and also have the augmented reality on our digital platforms on the company website, the consumer can use the augmented reality and see which shoe size fits their foot. So you can address this shoe size fitting issue by using augmented reality. So consumers can easily identify whether a particular shoe size is fitting them, or is it too tight, or is it too loose. So they can identify the fit shoe size by properly fitting through AR technology. Enhance brand relevance for youth via influencer campaigns. So we can, at present, our involvement in the digital marketing, digital media is very weak. So we can focus more on that and especially bring influencers. Okay, influencers, it can be brand ambassadors who can better relate to this teenage youth market and cause influence and promote our brand. So these are all strategies which tells that our company Dearn needs to have more involvement on the digital media and have very high online presence. So this is how you do a TOS matrix. So again, TOS matrix was done just for me to depict you how the internal strengths and weaknesses can be related to external opportunities and threats. Again, this is just to open your mindset, to open and connect different points. For exam purpose, I want you to clearly be familiar with the SWOT insights, because this can be readily used in the tasks along with referring to the exhibits. Okay, so this is it. This is a very simple detailed analysis which we had done on the pre-scene. So I would want you to ensure that you have these two stages in mind. The first stage is where you are very comfortable with the overall outline of the pre-scene, and you have built up a mind map in your mind on the industry, on the business, and on the other business environmental factors. Number two, from them we had extracted the SWOT. I want you to be very familiar with the major strengths of the organization, the weaknesses that has to be improved, opportunities that can be of help, and threats that we have to be aware of. Okay, so with this we'll be ending our pre-scene discussion for the SBL June 2025 examination. I wish you all the best.